when I was about 3, 4 years old. I remember looking at the sky and seeing the clouds go by, and I was thinking about the creation, and I guess I had a strong belief in a power greater than myself, which was, I call God, you know. I remember that. My name is Ernie Rogers, E-R-N-I-E, Ernie Rogers, R-O-G-E-R-S. My given name was Roginski, and we changed it to Rogers when we came here. We hit the port of New York February 3rd, 1940. I was just past 2 years old. I was born in Hamburg, Christmas Day. I was born 1937.
Okay.
I'm 84 years old. I'm a dinosaur. We had escaped Nazi Germany. We were very, very lucky. I think we either got the last ship to come or the second to the last ship. My mother used to talk about on the ship how Peg Leg Bates was dancing. They called him Peg Leg Bates because he had a peg leg, but he used to dance. He was an American entertainer, and she loved him. She loved that coming here. Ellis Island, we hit New York. We were in New York for a year.
Where did you go after New York?
To Detroit. Well, my dad, in Europe, in Germany, was an auctioneer, and when they got him a job at Excello Corporation in Detroit. That's why we came to Detroit. He worked at Excello for maybe 3 years, and then he went to the Ford Motor Company. We were poor, but we had food on the table all the time. When my mother would go shopping, she would have a little piece of cake and a glass of milk on the table waiting for me. My mother, I love my mother. Till my dad passed away. My dad, he wasn't religious, but he did know the prayers. He knew the prayers by heart. I'm Jewish. I'm not super religious, but I'm really proud of accomplishments that we have made through history. And I could say I'm a proud Jew, but I'm not a religious Jew. I remember I was good in art right away. I remembered I couldn't figure out why the other kids would draw just stick figures, and I would try drawing what I was seeing. I was proud of my artwork I did in school. That kept me centered a little bit. I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was in bed with my sister in the afternoon, you know, and she told me to scribble, and she complimented me on my scribbling, and I was wondering, I'm just scribbling, you know, and that gave me confidence, and I just started drawing, and I would spend endless hours drawing from the comic strips in the newspapers. I was a portrait artist, but I just do abstract now because I have essential tremors in my hands, and I can't draw like I used to. I started gambling when I was 14, and that was my ruination. I quit school when I was in the 9th grade. I fell behind because of my gambling. When I was 38 years old, I went to my first Gamblers Anonymous meeting, and that was one of the smartest moves I ever made, was joining Gamblers Anonymous. I remember the first meeting I went to, this was like a godsend. Mambo Eddie was his nickname. He was giving therapy, and when he looked at me and I looked at him, tears came to our eyes. We were adversaries. We were at each other's throats. But then he became my sponsor when I joined Gamblers Anonymous. So that alone gave me enough reason to never gamble again. And, you get people away from gambling, and you see how they really are, you know. I didn't move out of the house till I was 38 years old. I lived on Lawton and Finkel. And I moved from there to the Cass Corridor. And I remember that was a unique experience. But I've been in Ann Arbor since 1982.
And what brought you here?
Well, my sister lived here, and I liked Ann Arbor, and I just wanted to get away from Detroit. So I moved to Ann Arbor, and that was a good move. I can't say I'm a musician. I'm a frustrated drummer. I did a drum thing with my friend Maruga, who's a great artist, fiddling around with his drum set one day, and he liked what I did. He says, I'm going to record you, and he put me on Spotify.
What advice would you give to my generation?
Just be patient and hang in there. I think smoking marijuana helped me get into the groove of dancing. But my mother did say, she took me to the doctor once in America when I was like barely 3 years old, and she said the doctor was impressed because I spoke 3 languages. I spoke Yiddish, German, and English. Now I can hardly speak English at all.